This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
Okay. Hi, this is Chef Brian Young from Top Chef Kentucky and Station Family and Barbecue in Cincinnati, Ohio. You're listening to Shawn Rosler and the Coarse Grind Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 124 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With you this evening, as always, Shawn Rosler, host creator. How's everyone doing this evening? You know, I've been feeling like in this isolation with my family, but it's isolation when I get to sit alone. I've been feeling like there's a lot of catching up to do lately. And, you know, with a lot of guests who I haven't heard from in literally 4 or 5 years. I've been at this for 4 or 5 years, can you believe it? A lot's happened since then, not counting the veritable pandemic endgame, doomsday vibe we're all experiencing present day. So, as I was scrolling my Insta feed, as I'm oftentimes to do, an old, not age-wise, but back in the teens episode-wise, friend of the show came across, and I realized it's been way too long, and given the incredible focus he's putting on his butcher storefront, his social impact, all of those stamps that he's making on the culinary world, I needed to check in, and I asked, and he said yes, and the rest will be, after this interview, history. If you listen to the show, you know this guy already. Episode 19, look it up. I can hear you all Googling right now. But if not, and if you want the full backstory, again, go back to 19. But here's the primer, here's a refresher. Tonight's guest was actually an engineering physics major before food crossed his mind, but when it did, his passion sent him vaulting skyward, working through the ranks in the industry, working under minds such as Wolfgang Puck, Kevin Taylor, Sean Yonts, and Dave Query. It should come as no surprise that after attaining title of chef, he went on to compete in Season 5 of Top Chef and win dominantly, I might add. Since then, he's been busy with Blackbelly, with Santo, in all aspects, from catering to a whole animal butcher presence. This is the catching up that we need to do, though. 4 or 5 years later, I'm relatively certain that Blackbelly and now Santo isn't the only thing that's changed for him, and I, for one, cannot wait to catch up with him. So let's get down to it. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, my guest this evening, chef owner of Blackbelly and Santo, and Season 5 Top Chef dominant champion, Chef Hosea Rosenberg. Chef, what is going on this evening, sir?
Wow, thank you. That's quite an introduction. I am home and chilling and just, super excited to talk to you.
Oh, well, listen to this. See, that's what this whole COVID shit's doing to us. I'm super excited to talk to me. I can't tell you the last time. My wife doesn't say that, so thank you. I appreciate that. That's stellar.
My pleasure. I'm just glad somebody wants to hear my voice.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, most folks tuning in are going to know you from Top Chef Season 5. But folks out on the other side of the country, not all the way out to the far, far west coast, but, Colorado, they're going to know who you are from, Blackbelly, from Santo, which I just found out about. Again, when we don't talk for 5 years, is what happens. Call me. But just for the sake of folks who are new to the man, the myth, the legend, Hosea Rosenberg, can you give us all a little background of where you grew up, what you grew up eating, and what maybe made you interested in food?
So I was born and raised in northern New Mexico in a little town called Taos. It's a really interesting place. It's kind of a crossroads of cultures. There's a very strong Native American influence there. The Taos Pueblo Indians have a very strong culture. It was the northern reaches of the Spanish colonial empire, so there's a lot of Spanish relics in the food, in the architecture, in the language, and so on. And I was born and raised there, so I grew up eating a lot of green chili, which is sort of the dominant kind of like glue that glues us all together. You don't eat a meal. You don't go through a day in New Mexico without having at least the opportunity to put green chili on your food at some point.
Yeah.
Grew up there. I went to college at CU in Boulder. I left for a couple of years, but I do love this town, so I ended up coming back, and this is where I've established my businesses and started my family, and plan on being here for quite a while.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Now, I want to take a step back because I think I know what you mean when you say green chili. But when people hear chili, people always get confused. Oh, hot, that's spicy, I can't do it. Oh, the green chili that you speak of, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to throw myself out here as possibly knowing something for the evening. Trust me, I'm married. I know what it's like to be wrong, so just go with it if I am. This is the one that they put like hundreds of in that barrel, and they roll them and they flame them, right?
Yeah, so the green chili, it's a chili pepper, and it's like you see in a lot of other shops. It's almost the same pepper as the Anaheim chili, but what makes it New Mexico green chili is the fact that it's grown in the Rio Grande River Valley, and kind of like, you talk about terroir with wines. There's something about the climate of southern New Mexico that makes this chili super flavorful, oftentimes very spicy, but the reason we love it is just it's part of the culture of New Mexico. If you go down to New Orleans, everybody's got gumbo, and that's just kind of part of what they are. Yeah. New Mexicans, we're the only state that has we have a state question, which is red or green. So there's green chili and red chili, and you can do red, green, or Christmas, and that's how you get your sauces on your enchiladas or on whatever it is you're eating. And the only difference between the green chili and the red chili is the same pepper that's just been dried in the sun, and it turns red after it dries.
Okay, all right, right on. So, and is that what's considered the Hatch chili?
Yes. So okay. Hatch is the town where it grows in. You can get it in other parts, and New Mexico green is just phenomenal wherever it's from. But Hatch sort of branded it, and that's where the vast majority of New Mexico green chili is grown. And living in Colorado, I've definitely gotten into some online fights over the chili because there's a town in southern Colorado called Pueblo, and that is the source of pride in Colorado. They grow some amazing green chilies. They're really good. They're really flavorful. They got a nice kick. They're a little meatier, but they are far inferior to the New Mexico green, and I stand by that. I go on record as saying, even though I'm a Colorado resident, you just can't beat the Hatch green chili. It is just... It's the shit. It's what you want to eat.
Hashtag shots fired. You heard it here. You want to take it up with them? You know where to find them, man. Go out on the social, find Hosea, and let him know what you think. Although I, for one, think he's right. I mean, who else has a top chef belt around his waist? So anyway, that's the whole Hatch pepper. That's the whole green chili pepper. I kind of always wondered where that name came from, and now I know. So that's the backstory. And again, just in the spirit of kind of moving forward and using our time here together productively and focusing not only on the here and now, but on the future, we'd be remiss not to, talk about the elephant in the room. Like, look, we're joking about hearing someone and having someone want to talk to us because we're locked down. 10 years from now, when my kids listen to this shit for a term paper, they'll be like, oh, Dad had a talk show and he talked to a Top Chef champ about COVID. Remember COVID? We're all locked down. This is obviously having impacts, far-reaching across industries, across, businesses, and the food industry. I would imagine is going to be one of the hardest hit. I speak from a place of ignorance. I was just fortunate enough to have had 5 former guests on a panel, and literally got schooled, and they spanned from Alaska to New York. It was phenomenal. I'm always interested now, though, whenever I talk to someone, to ask, like, how is this affecting you? Actually, I'll take a step back. When was it you first looked at what was going on, Hosea, and went, oh, shit, this isn't good?
It was right around the beginning of the month of March, that is, and we saw it coming. We saw what was happening in Seattle and on the West Coast, and it was sort of an omen. We didn't know exactly how bad it was going to get, but we we prepare for the best or prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And so we started implementing some things pretty quickly. We have an amazing governor here, Jared Polis in Colorado, and he's a little bit more, forward thinking than some other state leaders might be. And he made a point of asking restaurants to start taking precautions pretty early on. Yeah. And so we immediately instituted some serious sanitation rules where, we had to have, hand sanitizer at the front and on all the stations, and we had to kind of spray down everything, every common surface. We eventually, like in our market and butcher shop, we kind of closed down the public bathrooms, and we required everyone to wear gloves, and we started kicking people out if they showed any sign of illness. It was first met with a little bit of dismay. Like some of our customers, somebody comes in with a sneeze or a cough, we tell them to get out. And at first that seemed a little extreme to people, but we realized that we were on the right track with that. Sure. We started to seat less people in the dining room, but this all just kind of escalated so quickly, and I don't really have to explain that to anybody. We've all been alive through this. Yeah. But we went from, on Monday telling everybody to be careful and wash their hands to by Friday, it was like, oh my God, we're going to have to fire most of our staff because we're going to basically be shut down in a matter of days. And by that next Monday, it basically took a week from putting precautions into place to literally letting 90% of our staff go. And that was really, really hard.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't. Like I'm bitching about having to, dab hand sanitizer after everything I touch when I get back in my car if I go out. And here's the restaurant industry, and I mean universally, this isn't some plug, people. Like, go back and check out 123 if you want to hear 5 other people telling you how it happened. Like this is the universal experience, and these are people's lives, they're people's livelihoods. And Blackbelly, I came into tonight, admittedly, we were joking before the mics went on, I came in half ignorant because I didn't even realize you had Santo as well. Not to step away from COVID, and be positive for a minute, but, Blackbelly, we kind of, did a good job covering back in the day. Can you tell us a little bit about Santo?
Yeah, and I don't know if we covered everything at Blackbelly, only because I think more happened since we did that first show. But basically, just in a nutshell, Blackbelly started as a catering business, and we continue that to this day. Although this day there's no catering business happening, but hopefully again soon.
Definitely.
And we opened a restaurant in 2014. And then in 2017, we opened the butcher shop, which is adjacent to the restaurant. We're the only whole animal butcher shop in Boulder, Colorado. We're also the only licensed charcuterie operation in Boulder County. So we do all of our own salamis and prosciuttos and terrines and all sorts of salumi, charcuterie, the whole bit. And then lots of fresh meats, and we have a huge smoking operation. So it's just a really cool program. We do breakfast and lunch. It's a kind of a counter service, quick service type operation, which is, kind of supports the restaurant, which is more fine dining and, kind of high end and sit down service and all that. Sure. And then just a little over 2 years ago, I opened up Santo, which is an homage to my hometown of Taos, New Mexico, the food that I grew up eating with sort of this Boulder aesthetic. We've got some great farms around here, which we support at both restaurants. So we wanted to do sort of this rustic, kind of homey food with lots of spice. It's not Mexican, it's different, but it's different in a subtle way. And then sort of fold in this seasonality and organic local product kind of approach to what we cook and how we serve things.
Nice. And I'm just now like literally going out looking at the site, and there's those big batches of peppers hanging behind you. Those are the red peppers, right?
Yeah, so those are called ristras, and that's a very common decoration on people's homes. You take the chilies when they're still fresh and green, and you weave them into this big braid, and then people hang those outside of their house. So usually the ristras are just decorative, because the bounty is just amazing. There's chilies everywhere, all throughout the fall. So people dry a lot of them, and then you take some and make decorations out of them, and then you for the most part, most people will stock up in their freezer with the roasted green chilies, like you were talking about, in those big tumblers with the flames. Mm-hmm. And we'll even do that at the restaurant during the season. We'll roast a ton, and then you bag them up and you freeze them. So a true New Mexican will always have some green chili in their freezer.
Now, a true New Mexican. Now he's putting the bar out, folks. Now he's like, are you really from New Mexico? Let me see your freezer, bitch. Open that up. I want to see.
Exactly.
I want to see the axes in there.
Let's see you produce some green chilies when we're done talking.
That's awesome. And I mean, the sites are incredible, man. Blackbelly.com and SantoBoulder.com. Santo Boulder. Jeez, I speak Spanish and I'm saying Santo. Like, hey, Santo, hey, can I get some quesadillas?
That's all right.
Oh, my Lord.
Santos, which really bugs me, but it's Santo.
Santo.
Singular.
Lo siento, hermano. So Santo Boulder and Blackbelly.com. I mean, go out, check these things out. The menus, obviously, as is the common thread across the industry now, you're doing takeout, you're doing like carside pickup, and that's pretty much it, right? The restaurant lights are out.
So we vastly reduced our staffing. Then we also reduced our hours and obviously our menu. Additionally, I had to let so many people go that we're down to kind of just our managers. It's just a very small core group of people. Between both restaurants, there's like 10 or 11 people left. And so in order to kind of maintain some sanity for everybody, we decided to just be open Monday through Friday.
Cool.
Both restaurants are closed Saturday and Sunday, just so everybody can get the same days off. Everybody can go home to their families and not worry about anything. Well, they can not worry about work.
Right.
And we've tried to be, thinking on our toes and just be as dynamic as possible. So our menus have kind of been evolving over the last few weeks with what we offer, what we're willing to deliver. One cool thing that came out of this just recently, the governor decided to allow alcohol to go, which was never something that Colorado allowed in the past.
Nice.
So we can not only box up food for you, but we can make a bunch of cocktails or sell you a bottle of wine or whatever it is and bring it to your car, and you can take off with a big batch of margaritas from Santo along with your enchiladas. So that has actually helped our sales a lot. We're still looking at like 15 to 20% of what we used to do, but at least it's something. Brings a little bit of money in it. We can help pay a few of our people, keep everybody on insurance, and just try to ride this out until we can reopen. But as David Chang tweeted today, restaurants can't survive on to-go business alone. So this is just temporary, and we're hoping that we can just sort of make it through without completely running out of money until this all blows over, if it ever does.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, not for nothing. And I always tell people who listen to the show, or who hear me say something to a chef, oh, you're kissing his ass. I don't kiss ass. I don't blow smoke. Like, that's the approach that really shows the human aspect. I've gone on record so many times as saying, like, Top Chef just as a platform. Again, that's how I was introduced to you. Really is the pinnacle of the culinary field, and everybody who I've ever had the chance to spoken to, which I mean, honestly, dude, I'm probably hitting 50 at this point of Top Chef contestants. Every single one of you reflects that humanistic spirit of the culinary field. It's not about the dollars and cents. It's about the human beings. And with that in mind, I know that for both areas, you've opened up GoFundMe pages for your employees.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So when we let everyone go, we told them we will do our best to bring everyone back as soon as we can. But for the meantime, it was in their best interest to just literally fire them so they can claim unemployment. But unfortunately, unemployment takes quite a bit of time to come through. Additionally, there are some people who are not citizens who are allowed to work in this country but don't have a social security number. And if you don't have a social, you cannot collect unemployment. And some of these people that were working for us who are not allowed legally to claim unemployment have families, and we're living paycheck to paycheck. I had a couple of these folks who worked at both of my restaurants, a couple of guys putting 80 hours between Santo and Blackbelly, and they suddenly have no income. And so it was really tough to tell them this news. and I just feel for them, and I can't imagine what they're going through right now. So we did set up these GoFundMe pages for our staff. It was for everyone that was let go, but some of the people that left have found other jobs, or they've gone home to live with their parents, or they've got money in the bank, and they have told us, we've had quite a few people tell us, like, give my share to the people who need it more, which is just super cool. And we're trying to raise a lot of money, but it's, we're us along with 15 million other workers in the food service industry are out of work right now. So there's a lot of people needing help, and there's a lot of hands out right now. And I also want to add that, like, restaurants are always the first to jump into charitable efforts. There's a lot of events throughout the year where people ask us to donate a dinner or to cook for an event, or what have you. Like, we get charitable asks pretty much on a daily basis during the normal year, and this is the first time where, as a group, restaurants are the ones needing the help, and quite a few people have come through, and it's really amazing to see. And I've got a lot of people reach out, just ask, like, what can I do for your restaurant? So in addition to these GoFundMe programs for Santo and Blackbelly, we've told people that they can just buy gift cards on our websites, and that money goes right to the business, and that's money that we can use now for cash flow to pay people, to pay our insurance bills, to kind of keep the lights on until we can kind of get back into the normal swing of business. And that's a great way to kind of support your favorite restaurants, and just hold on to those cards and wait till they open fully, and that way it gives us a little financial runway to kind of keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, the understanding gap that exists between the lay people like myself and you, the restaurateurs, and yet you said something that really, again, just kind of reiterates what I said about you as a restaurateur, as a humanist. You're folks who were okay saying, no, I'm fine, take this and give it to so-and-so. Like, you don't hear that in any other industry. I'm serious. And I mean, I had a very small stint in culinary on a line. And even from that small stint, the just sheer, you cuss like sailors at each other on the fucking line when something's late and something's not coming out right. Yes, you're going to tear each other's ass. But at 2 a.m, you're hammered and can't drive home, they'll be some of the first to come and get you. Like, it really is that camaraderie that actually, Beth Aretsky, Grill Bitch, from Kitchen Confidential, she always refers to it, like Tony Bourdain used to, as the pirate ship.
Yeah, totally.
We're a bunch of derelicts, but we're our derelicts. We're together, and it's an absolute testament. I mean, it's an absolute testament to the field itself, to you as a human being, Hosea. That you're putting that out there. You're doing everything you can at this point, even while you're feeling that water come into your own fucking boat. It's like, who does that? I'll tell you who does that. It's restaurants. So folks listening, like, Tom Colicchio, I know, is behind a movement, and the name eludes me right now. And that's great. Reach out to that. Fantastic. I'm hoping the government steps in and does something. I'll hold my breath. I'll probably die first. But the answer's here. Go, call your local restaurant. Stop by, order online, get the gift card. Get the gift card, buy it. If you're going to pick up food, tip like you would in the restaurant. Tip egregiously. Like, this is what I think you said, Hosea, 15 to 20% right now of your typical business. Like, let's help bring that up. We're focusing on flattening the curve. Let's bump this shit up a little bit, okay?
Yeah, we're 15%, and we have reduced our labor for the time being, but the rest of the bills aren't going down. Like, our rent is still due. We still owe taxes. We still have utility bills, and restaurants operate on an extremely slim margin. If you're making 10% profit as a restaurant, you're really killing it. You're beating the curve. Yep. Most restaurants are in single-digit profits, and to have a hit like this, you brought up Tom Colicchio. One of his comments was that he expects 75% of small independent restaurants to never reopen after this. And if you have a restaurant in your neighborhood that you love and support, you know those people and you like them, then just a $10, $20 gift card can actually go a long way right now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And on that note and in that direction, what does it look like down the road. I mean, let's pretend you can see into the future, based on what you know now, based on what you see going on. What does life look like 6 months from now?
I mean, it's hard to say because none of us predicted anything like this ever happening.
Sure.
But I do expect, because this is going to go on for a while still, that everyone's sort of getting reprogrammed on how they act socially and what they're comfortable doing in a group or a crowd. I don't think restaurants are going to bounce back very quickly. I think everyone that is jumping on board with to-go food and delivery food, that's going to have to be part of their program for a long time. I think for the rest of this year, at least, restaurants that aren't doing, takeout and delivery are going to have a really tough time kind of coming back, like roaring back, because just like the idea of a packed bar where it's like 2 or 3 deep and you're reaching across somebody to try to get a drink, like that thought right now is so foreign to everyone because
Sure.
we're all trying to stay 6 feet apart. So I don't think people are just going to jump right back into a crowded restaurant. I hope they do. I hope we cure this fucking thing and it all kind of goes back to normal. But if it doesn't happen like that, I think we're going to see a big shift in how people eat for quite some time.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair, and I'm just popping out to Tom's Twitter feed now because I remember I saw something. Aaron Sanchez. See, I can remember my Spanish if I actually focus on it. There's a letter to Congress from the Independent Restaurant Coalition, I believe, asking lawmakers to support not just the small businesses but the restaurants in particular. So. It's going to come down to something like this. And again, I'm not holding my breath. I've been subtly public about my opinions of how things are run present day. If you're alone with me at 2 a.m. and I'm drunk, I will absolutely inform you what the fuck I think about things. But I mean, fingers crossed, but I think you're right. I mean, that new normal is going to look considerably different. I don't think there's any way to get around it. I think, folks like you, Hosea, who had the wherewithal to kind of create this contingency plan, thanks to your governor early on, I'm hoping beyond hope that you pull through. Beyond gift cards, anything that we, the public, can do to help?
Well, there are these organizations, as you mentioned. One of them is saverestaurants.co. Mm-hmm. That's the national kind of outreach program that Tom Klico is a part of. The James Beard Foundation is also raising a ton of money. There's a few other smaller kind of national groups. There's a couple that are working to help undocumented immigrants in this situation, because it's not just the restaurant industry either. I mean, there's a lot of other industries, but we are certainly one of the hardest hit. But I just can't stress enough to just kind of like think about your neighborhood. These are people that live down the street from you that work in these restaurants, and if you can kind of keep your neighborhood place going strong, that's gonna affect a lot of lives. If you can help keep this place open, it means a lot of jobs for a lot of people. And it also means getting that food that you like, when you want it, and not having to rely on chains. Because a big thing that a lot of small independent restaurant operators are concerned with right now is that places are going to go under, chains are going to swoop in. We're going to see a lot more of this like kind of god awful, just big chain restaurant kind of overtaking the little guys again.
Yeah.
And it would really be a bummer to see that happen.
It would stupefy the culinary landscape. I'll be blunt where maybe you don't want to be. I don't want to see that. I don't think anybody listening to this show wants to see that. You brought up helping the immigrant families. I want to steer the boat a little bit more positive, now, because, obviously, we're down this road, we're looking at 6 months, and it is grim unless something miraculous happens. I think that's a fair statement. In the meantime, on top of everything that you're doing for your employees, I want to bring up what you're doing for the healthcare workers in your area. And I'm going to just say that and let you tell everybody about what you're doing. Is it with Santo or with Blackbelly?
It's actually with both.
Look at this guy, with both.
Yeah, there's a group of people that started this here in town, and it was actually inspired by what some chefs in the Bay Area started doing. And it's called Feed the Front Lines. We were fortunate enough to have some seed money from a local venture capitalist, or actually a few of them. So these guys put in like something on the order of $300,000 to support two groups of people that are really feeling this COVID thing right now, the frontline medical workers as well as restaurant workers. So they have contracted restaurants to make food for the nurses and doctors and other support staff at the hospitals. So we, like this week, we're doing 5 deliveries. We're doing it basically every day we're open, where we're dropping off 100 ready-to-eat meals at the Boulder Community Hospital, so these people can get a nutritious meal while they're working their 10 to 12-hour shifts, saving lives. So that's been a huge thing, and we needed that financial support because the hospitals don't have a budget for this. The restaurants certainly can't afford to pay people and give away food right now when they have no money coming in. Of course not. So this is a win-win for us and for the medical workers.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe, more models like that as this continues, because, I know today in the chronology and the landscape of the disease, I guess it was the highest death count in a plateau. So like, that's a good thing. I'm not sure how, I focus on food and e-learning. I'm good to just focus on that. But, this landscape isn't going to go away. So, folks listening, maybe with some seed money, maybe even like locally here in a small community like ours, reach out. It doesn't hurt. There's people who are hungry, people who need your support. The restaurants need you to plug in. I think the only way we get through all of this is by working together in such a fashion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, man. So, we talked about what's going on. We talked about what's to come, or at least what we think is to come. What's next for you? Let's assume we're going to put on the assumption hat here that a year from now, Blackbelly, Santo, legs back under him, everything's good. You're back firing away. Talk to me beyond COVID, beyond this, clear and just horrible recession. Let's look to the future with bright eyes. What does Chef Hosea Rosenberg look for in, let's say, 5 years from now?
Well, and I don't mean to bring you down even more.
Jesus Christ, all right.
Something else that happened 4 weeks ago to us was our daughter, and I didn't prep you this, but our daughter was diagnosed with an extremely rare genetic disorder, and so that's been a 1-2 punch between her, the news about her, and what's going on in the restaurant. So we're parallel working on trying to create a foundation and look for a cure for this disease that she has that only 30 children have ever been diagnosed with. And it's an extremely rare, basically a bone disease, where there's one tiny little mutation on one tiny little protein on a tiny little gene that is affecting her joints in a really bad way, and it's progressive, so it'll continue to get worse. And she's turning 3 in a month, and we're concerned about her ability to use her limbs. So that's going to be a big focus of mine over the next few years. We just need to make sure our restaurants are open so we still have an income and insurance. But that's going to be a big focus of my life, probably for many years to come.
All kidding aside, minutes before we were recording, I was complaining about laying my boys down, and I think sometimes, because actually, and I don't know that I've ever mentioned this on the show before, my youngest is on spectrum. He has autism, and we deal with that on the daily. And sometimes I forget how lucky I am to lay, to just lay my boys down, and especially now with everything that's going on, may we be mindful. And, if there's anything that we can do to help you with that, Hosea, please, we can certainly talk offline.
Well, once we have this foundation set up, we're going to be reaching out to a lot of people, especially people with reach. So I will probably ask you to plug it at some point just so we can help raise awareness and raise money and try to find a cure.
Yeah, that whole reach thing, I don't know. But, I mean, if you could just reach out to me anyway, it would make me feel good. Sure. So that'd be fine. Okay. Thanks.
I will.
I've got to bring it up. I'm sorry. But, no, that's I think some of the coolest revisits that I've had on the show have been with folks who have become parents since last we talked. And I've been a parent since the show began. And so it's always just awesome to hear from people. And, even there, parenting, just like people in the culinary industry, it's that common tie that binds. And when it comes to parenting, I think it's the same thing. So absolutely no question. Once you get that together, and again, we can talk offline, keep in contact. You can bet I will put my every and all behind it for you. So
I appreciate that very much.
More to come.
Thank you.
All right, so let's turn it back around, full 180 on the way out. Do some after questions. A little bit of fun, a little bit of lightheartedness. No one's been injured in 123 episodes. I don't foresee it happening this evening, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to compare your answers because I've asked you these before, Hosea, 5 years ago, and I wonder how closely your answers resemble what you're going to put out there now.
All right.
So I'm in your kitchen. What music am I listening to?
Oh, I just got a Frank Sinatra album that I've been playing today. I got into records a couple years ago, so I've been listening to a lot of vinyl, but I can almost promise you my answer last time was the Drive-By Truckers.
All right,
which are one of my favorite bands.
I'm actually looking through the folder right now. I literally keep these scrappy-ass note sheets, and you were 19. That was hung. There we go, 19. Who did you say it was?
Drive-By Truckers.
God damn, he's good. Drive-By Truckers it is. He hits that one out of the park. All right, here's the next question. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island, and you can only bring 3 foods or food-type items with you. Inexhaustible supplies, through magic, whatever, but only 3. What would they be and why?
Duck, because you can get the eggs. The meat is delicious, and you can cook with the fat, so that'd be one of them. I'd want a lemon tree. No, let's say an orange tree, because you can eat the fruit, but then you can also cook with the juice and use the citrus in many, many, many ways, and it smells good, and you'll smell good. And then maybe third would be grapes, because I can make wine out of it. Nice. And also eat the grapes and use the grape leaves to wrap up my duck meat.
Nice. Listen, 5 years later, you're 2 for 3 on that. Like, literally, I have written down on this sheet from, March 18th. It was my March 18th, 2016 or 15? I think it would have been 15? No, 16. 16. So 4 years and change later, duck, eggs, fat, etc., herb garden, and a lemon tree.
Cool. Not bad. Not bad. Still the same guy.
2 for 3. 2 for 3. The Last Supper question. Melanie Denea has a wonderful book, My Last Supper, and she did a follow-up the next course. Question becomes, it's your checkout meal. You get notice, you're checking out the next day. What's your Last Supper?
Oh, God, I've answered this question so many times with so many different interviews, but I often do change my answer. And I got to say, lately, it's just been like the perfect roast chicken with whatever I pulled out of the garden. Nice. Just fresh veggies and a perfectly roasted chicken.
Perfect roast chicken.
But I think I'm going to tell you that my answer was either duck or a BLT.
God damn it, dude.
5 years ago.
It was the perfect BLT along with the classic French meal.
There you go.
Unbelievable. And finally, the simplest and yet most complex question. What is food to you in a single word?
Comfort.
Love it. Love it.
And especially right now, I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to add to that just for a second. Like, we have learned, especially at Blackbelly, we were kind of known for really high-end food. Like, we need to be giving people some sense of comfort every day. That's what's going to keep us in business, and it's going to keep people happy. Like, we want to give people something that makes them feel really good about being stuck at home alone or with their family. And, you know, just comfort food is exactly what everyone needs right now.
Awesome, man. And I mean, all too true. Last time was community, but I think comfort goes along with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Incredible. Well, Chef Hosea Rosenberg, a pleasure as always, sir. If you want to check out Chef Hosea out there in the Colorado, Blackbelly, Carside Delivery Service, blackbelly.com, 720-479-8296. And then there's Santo. Take out santoboulder.com, 303-442-6100. Again, if you see any instances of Feed the Front Lines in your areas, be sure to check them out. Make sure you're calling your local restaurants for those gift cards, man. Help them out. Make sure you're doing whatever you can give. And, you know, again, because this is where a lot of us go for comfort. You know, that very word that Hosea just used. It's all about the comfort. So, Hosea, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this evening. We really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It was a lot of fun being on the show again. Thanks, Shawn.
Right on, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 124 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me this evening, the heavyweight champion of Season 5 of Top Chef and the chef owner of both Blackbelly and Santo, Chef Hosea Rosenberg. Our producer, as always, has been Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out all his artistic happenings on Instagram, as well as his podcast, Cinematic Pig's Feet. And next episode is going to be number 125. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Are you passing through Central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company at 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA, has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.